The stars looked different from Nexus Prime. Zefka pressed her delicate fingers against the observation window and watched the distant lights dance in the void. She had been monitoring this sector of space for 15 cycles now, and nothing exciting ever happened here. Most days, she recorded temperature readings from nearby stars and tracked the movement of asteroids. It was peaceful work, exactly what her people loved. The Villani were not built for excitement. Their thin frames and pale blue skin had evolved on a gentle world where the biggest danger was choosing which fruit to eat for breakfast. Like most species in the Galactic Confederation, they had grown up under kind suns and soft breezes. War was something they read about in history books. Violence was a concept they barely understood. Zefka turned back to her monitoring station and froze. A new signal had appeared on her screen. It was moving fast, much faster than any asteroid or comet. The energy reading was strange too. Did not match any ship design in the Confederation database. Computer, run identification scan on contact bearing 27 Mark IV, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The Villani did not like to speak loudly. It hurt their sensitive ears. The computer hummed softly. Unknown vessel detected. Hull composition unrecognized. Propulsion system does not match any known technology. Zefka felt her heart speed up. In her 15 cycles of service, she had never seen an unknown ship. Every vessel in their part of the galaxy was registered and tracked. Pirates sometimes modified their ships, but even they used familiar technology. She opened a communication. Channel 2, the main command center. Admiral Quintel, we have an unusual reading in Sector 7. The Admiral's voice crackled through the speaker. Quintel was a Throckeri, a species known for their calm thinking and careful decisions. What kind of reading, Monitor Zefka? An unknown vessel, sir. Moving at 0.7 light speed and approaching our position. I have never seen anything like it. There was a long pause. Then Admiral Quintel said, send me all the data. I want to see this for myself? Zefka transmitted the readings and waited. She could hear other voices in the background of the communication channel. The command center was getting busy. It was not normal for a quiet monitoring station like Nexus Prime. Meanwhile, far away in the black space between stars, Commander Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of the Aurora and stared at the same stars Zefka was watching. Jake saw them differently. Where the alien scientists saw peace and beauty, Jake saw endless frontier waiting to be explored. Jake was tall and strong, dark hair and brown eyes that seemed to take in everything around him. Like all humans, he had grown up on a world that tried to kill him every day. Earth had taught his species to be tough, to adapt, and to never give up. Captain, I'm picking up artificial structures ahead, said Dr. Lisa Parker from her station. Lisa was the Aurora's science officer, a woman with red hair and green eyes who loved solving puzzles. The energy readings suggest a large facility, maybe a space station. Jake nodded. How large are we talking? Big enough to house thousands of people. And Captain, there are more energy signatures around it. It looks like a whole fleet of ships. Jake felt excitement build in his chest. After 6 months of traveling through empty space, they had finally found signs of intelligent life. Earth's government had sent the Aurora to explore this region of the galaxy, hoping to make contact with alien civilizations. It looked like they were about to succeed. All right, people, this is what we came here for, Jake announced to his crew. We're about to make first contact with an alien species. Everyone stay calm and follow protocol. Dr. Parker, start recording everything. I want a complete record of this moment. The Aurora was not a large ship by human standards. It carried only 50 people, all of them volunteers who had signed up for a long journey into the unknown. The ship was built tough. Like everything humans made, it had to be. Space was dangerous, and human ships were designed to handle dangers. That would destroy most other vessels. On Nexus Prime, Admiral Quintel studied the readings Zefka had sent him. The unknown ship was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its hull was made of materials that his sensors could barely identify. The energy output was enormous, suggesting either very advanced technology or very inefficient systems. Where is it coming from? He asked his science officer, VEL-Ma. Vel Ma was a tall creature with 4 arms and silver skin. Her people were excellent at mathematics and loved to solve complex problems. That is the strange part, Admiral. The trajectory suggests it originated from the XK739 system. Admiral Quintel felt his blood turn cold. That cannot be right. Run the calculation again? I have run it 3 times, sir. The vessel definitely came from XK739. XK739 was a system that every member of the Confederation knew about, even though none of them had ever visited it. It contained a planet that was listed in their databases as one of the most dangerous worlds in the galaxy. The gravity was so strong it would crush most species. The atmosphere contained deadly levels of oxygen, a gas so corrosive that it could dissolve metal. The weather was violent beyond imagination, with storms that could flatten entire settlements. Most terrifying of all, the planet was home to creatures so dangerous that Confederation scientists had classified it as a death world. No intelligent species could possibly evolve there. It was simply too hostile to support complex life. Yet now, a ship was approaching from that very system. On the Aurora, Jake made his decision. Open a communication channel on all frequencies. Let's try to say hello. Communications Officer Rachel Davis, a young woman with blonde hair and blue eyes, worked quickly at her station. Channel open, Captain. What should we broadcast? Jake thought for a moment. How do you greet an alien species for the first time? Start with mathematics. Prime numbers, maybe? Something that shows intelligence, but is not threatening. Nodded and began transmitting a sequence of prime numbers. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23. She repeated the pattern several times, then waited. On Nexus Prime, every alarm in the monitoring station began to sound.
Oh.
The unknown vessel was broadcasting directly at them. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission, Zefka reported, her voice shaking with excitement and fear. Appears to be a mathematical sequence. Admiral Quintel ordered the signal to be analyzed. Within minutes, his science team confirmed that it was indeed a pattern of prime numbers. There was no doubt about it. The vessel from the Death World carried intelligent beings. This is impossible, Velma whispered. Nothing can live on XK739. Our models show that any complex life would be destroyed within hours of exposure to that environment. But the evidence was right in front of them. Somehow, some way, a species had not only survived on the galaxy's most dangerous planet, but had developed space travel and was now attempting to make contact. Admiral Quintel made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. Respond to their signal. Send back the next 5 prime numbers in the sequence, and alert all ships in the fleet. We may be dealing with something completely new. As the response signal traveled through space toward the Aurora, neither species realized they were about to discover just how different life could be on opposite ends of the survival spectrum. The peaceful Confederation was about to meet the Deathworlders, and nothing would ever be the same. Jake watched his communications board light up with an incoming signal. Captain, we're getting a response, Rachel announced. Completed. Our prime number sequence, Jake smiled. First contact was about to begin. Captain Ben Rogers stood behind Rachel Davis as she worked at the communication station. The response from the aliens had come faster than expected, and now they were exchanging more complex mathematical patterns. Ben was older than Jake, with gray hair and kind eyes that had seen many years of space travel. He had volunteered for this mission because he believed humanity needed to reach out to the stars. They're getting more sophisticated, Rachel said, her fingers moving quickly over her controls. First they sent back prime numbers, then perfect squares. Now they're showing us geometric sequences. These beings definitely understand advanced mathematics. Jake nodded from his captain's chair. What about language? Can we start working toward actual communication? The Aurora's computer system, which the crew had nicknamed Alex, spoke up in its calm electronic voice. I am detecting patterns in their signal structure that suggest grammatical rules. With continued exchange, I estimate a 70% chance of establishing basic communication within 6 hours. Dr. Lisa Parker looked up from her science station. Captain, I'm also analyzing the energy signatures from their ships. There are at least 12 vessels out there, maybe more. But their technology is completely different from ours. Their engines produce almost no radiation, and their whole materials seem designed for completely different environmental stresses. On Nexus Prime, the situation was becoming more intense by the hour. Admiral Quintel had called in reinforcements. From 3 nearby sectors, what had started as a routine monitoring mission was turning into the most important first contact event in Confederation history. Elma worked frantically at her science station, running calculation after calculation. Every result came back the same. The unknown vessels had definitely originated from System XK-739, the death world that no species should be able to survive on. Admiral, I have completed a full analysis of their trajectory, she reported. There is no doubt these ships launched from the third planet in the XK-739 system. Admiral Quintel felt his confidence shaking. He had been in command of Confederation forces for 20 cycles, but nothing had prepared him for this. What do we know about that planet again? Chief Science Officer Thurnell, a short creature with purple skin and large eyes, pulled up the files on his screen. Planet XK-739c, also known as Sol 3 in some databases. Gravity rating 9.8 meters per second squared, which is 3 times stronger than most habitable worlds. Atmospheric composition, 21% oxygen, which would be toxic to most Confederation species. Surface pressure, 101.3 kilopascals, enough to crush standard habitat domes. He continued reading from the report. Weather systems include rotating storm formations with wind speeds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. Tectonic activity causes regular ground-shaking events, measuring up to 9.0 on the seismic scale. The planet experiences regular bombardment from space debris due to insufficient magnetic shielding. Every detail made the situation seem more impossible. Yet somehow, intelligent beings had not only survived on this nightmare world, but had built a civilization advanced enough for space travel. Back on the Aurora, the crew was making steady progress with communication. Rachel had established a basic symbol system with the aliens, and they were starting to exchange simple concepts. Captain, I think I've got something, she announced excitedly. They just sent us symbols that seem to represent greeting and peaceful intentions. And look at this. They're asking about our point of origin. Jake leaned forward in his chair. This was the moment he had been waiting for. Send them our stellar coordinates. Let them know we come from the Sol system, third planet. Are you sure, Captain? Asked Security Chief Tony Blake. Tony was a big man with dark skin and careful eyes. His job was to protect the crew, and he was always thinking about potential dangers. We don't know anything about these aliens yet. Maybe we should learn more before we tell them where we come from. Jake considered this. Tony had a good point. First contact protocols suggested caution when sharing information about Earth's location. But these aliens had responded peacefully to their communications. They seemed genuinely interested in making contact. Send the coordinates, Jake decided. If we want them to trust us, we need to show trust first. Rachel transmitted Earth's galactic position, along with symbols indicating it was their home world. Then they waited for a response. The response came much faster than expected, but it was not what they were hoping for. Instead of friendly acknowledgement, the alien signals became urgent and confused. Multiple ships began broadcasting at once, creating a chaotic mix of overlapping messages. Captain, something's wrong, Rachel said. They're transmitting on emergency frequencies now. I'm picking up what sounds like alarm signals. On Nexus Prime, panic was spreading through the command center. The impossible had just become terrifying. Not only were there intelligent beings living on the galaxy's most dangerous planet, but they had just announced their intention to make contact. Emergency alert to all Confederation worlds, Admiral Quintel ordered. Unknown species from Deathworld XK-739 has initiated first contact. All ships are to maintain defensive positions, but avoid hostile actions unless directly threatened. Velma was studying the biological data they had managed to gather from the alien ship's emissions. What she found made her hands shake. "Admiral, I am detecting life signs aboard their vessel. The readings suggest creatures adapted for extreme gravitational stress. Their bone density appears to be 5 times greater than standard Confederation norms." "What does that mean?" the Admiral asked. "It means they evolved under crushing gravity that would kill us instantly. Their muscle mass ratios suggest physical strength levels that would be classified as superhuman by our standards. Sir, these beings are built like living weapons." The fear in the command center was growing. Here was a species that had not only survived on a world that would destroy most Confederation races, but had grown strong because of it. They were spacefaring, intelligent, and possibly more physically powerful than any known species in the galaxy. Dr. Amy Foster, the Auroras, medical officer, was conducting her own analysis of the alien signals. Amy was a small woman with brown hair and sharp intelligence. She had studied alien biology for years, preparing for this moment. "Captain, I'm getting some interesting readings from their transmissions," she reported. "I think I can identify some basic biological parameters of these aliens." "What have you found?" Jake asked. "Well, they seem to be carbon-based life forms like us. But their physiology is completely different. They appear to have evolved in much lower gravity than Earth normal. Their atmospheric requirements seem to include much less oxygen than we need. And Captain, their bone structure suggests they come from a world with very stable weather patterns." Jake frowned. "What do you mean by stable weather?" "I mean, they probably never experienced anything like Earth storms, earthquakes, or seasonal changes. Their bodies show no adaptations for environmental stress. They evolved in what we would consider perfect garden conditions." This information painted a picture that made Jake uncomfortable. If these aliens came from gentle, peaceful worlds, they might see humans as dangerous monsters. Earth's harsh environment had made humanity tough and adaptable. But to species from easier worlds, those same traits might seem frightening. Security Chief Tony Blake had been monitoring the alien fleet movements. "Captain, we have a problem. More ships are arriving in this system. I count at least 30 vessels now, and they're taking defensive positions." "Defensive against what?" Jake asked. "Against us, sir? I think our new friends are scared of us." Jake stood up from his captain's chair and walked to the main view screen. In the distance, he could see the lights of the alien fleet. Day had come. Here, hoping to make friends, to join a galactic community of intelligent species. Instead, they seemed to have triggered some kind of crisis. "Rachel, open a channel to the alien fleet. All frequencies." "Channel open, Captain." Jake took a deep breath. The next few words might determine the future of both species. "Unknown vessels, this is Captain Jake Martinez of the Earth ship Aurora. We come in peace and friendship, no harm to you or your people. Please respond so we can find a way to understand each other." The response came back immediately, but it was not in words. It was a flood of data, star charts, biological readings, atmospheric analyses, and gravity measurements. The aliens were sharing everything they knew about Earth in its impossible conditions. As the data flowed across their screens, the Aurora's crew began to understand the magnitude of the misunderstanding they faced. To these aliens, Earth was not a beautiful blue world full of life. It was a hellish nightmare planet where nothing should be able to survive. And somehow, humanity had not just survived there. They had thrived. Commander Steve Johnson watched the alien fleet through the Aurora's tactical display. More ships kept arriving every hour, and their formation was starting to look like preparation for battle. Steve was a military man with short black hair and steady hands. He had served in Earth's Space Navy before joining the exploration program, and he knew defensive positioning when he saw it. "Captain, they're not trying to surround us," he reported to Jake. "They're actually forming a retreat. Formation, I think they're getting ready to run away from us." Jake frowned at this news. "Run away? Why would they want to run from us?" "I don't know, sir. But whatever we told them about Earth really scared them." Dr. Karen Wright was working at the communication station trying to make sense of the flood of data the aliens had sent them. Karen was a biologist with long brown hair and curious eyes, who loved studying how life adapted to different environments. What she was discovering about the alien species was fascinating and disturbing. "Captain, I think I understand what's happening," she said. "These aliens evolved on worlds that are completely different from Earth. Look at this data about their home planets." She put the information on the main screen. Their gravity is usually between 2 and 4 meters per second squared. That's less than half of Earth's gravity. Their atmospheric pressure is much lower than ours. Their oxygen levels are around 5 to 8% compared to our 21%. Jake stared at the numbers. "You're saying they come from worlds that would kill us?" "Yes, but that's not the scary part. The scary part is that our world would kill them much faster. Captain, to these aliens, Earth is a place of nightmares. The gravity alone would crush most of their species. Our atmosphere would poison them. Our weather would destroy their cities." Meanwhile, in the Confederation fleet, Admiral Quintel was facing the biggest crisis of his career. Emergency meetings were being held on every ship as scientists and military leaders tried to understand what they were dealing with. Report from the xenobiology team, announced Science Officer Thurnell. "We have analyzed the biological signatures from the Deathworlder vessel. The creatures aboard show adaptations that should be impossible." "Explain," the Admiral ordered. "Their skeletal structure suggests they evolved under gravitational stress that would crush our ships. Their muscle density indicates physical strength, approximately 10 times greater than standard Confederation norms. Most disturbing, their respiratory systems are adapted to process oxygen in concentrations that would corrode our equipment." Admiral Quintel felt sick. "Are you telling me these beings are living weapons?" "Worse, sir. They are living weapons who consider their hostile environment normal. Our preliminary analysis suggests they may not even realize how dangerous they are." On another Confederation ship, Chief Medical Officer Brinkle was studying human biology. With growing horror, Brinkle belonged to a species that had evolved on a gentle moon with low gravity and perfect weather. The idea of surviving on a violent planet was beyond his understanding. "Look at their bone structure," he told his assistant. "Dense, heavy, designed to support body weight under crushing gravity. Their joints are reinforced for impact resistance. Their skin shows adaptations for exposure to hard radiation that would kill us in minutes." His assistant, a young scientist named Palma, studied the readings with wide eyes. "Doctor, what kind of world creates beings like this?" Brinkle pulled up Earth's environmental data on his screen. "A world of constant violence. Listen to this. Surface temperatures that vary by more than 50 degrees. Atmospheric pressure that changes rapidly during weather events. Regular seismic activity that shakes the entire planet. In storms, violent, rotating air masses with wind speeds that could destroy our largest cities." Back on the Aurora, Navigation Officer Paul Adams was having a very different conversation with his alien counterparts. Paul was a calm man with red hair and green eyes who loved maps and star charts. He had been working with the aliens to share information about human space exploration. "Captain, you need to see this," Paul called out. "The aliens have been showing me their star charts. They've marked dozens of systems as uninhabitable death worlds. But Captain, we've been to many of these places. Some of them have human colonies." Walked over to Paul's station. "Show me." Paul brought up a galactic map that combined human and alien data. Red markers showed worlds the aliens considered deadly. Blue markers showed human colonies and outposts. There was significant overlap. Kepler 442b, which we colonized last year. They mark it as a gravity death world. Wolf 1061c, where we have a mining station. They call it a radiation hellscape. Ross 128b, our newest agricultural colony. They classify it as a temperature nightmare. Obvious. Jake stared at the map in amazement. "Paul, how many worlds are we talking?" "About at least 40 systems, Captain. Places where we've successfully established human settlements. And every single one is marked in their database as too dangerous for intelligent life." Dr. Karen Wright had been listening to this conversation. "Captain, I think we need to be very careful about what we tell them next. We're already scared of us because we come from Earth. Imagine how they'll react when they learn we've colonized 40 other death worlds." But it was too late to worry about that. The aliens were already analyzing human communication signals, and discovering the truth about human expansion into space. On Nexus Prime, Velma was coordinating with monitoring stations throughout the sector. "Admiral, we are detecting human communication networks spanning multiple star systems," she reported with a shaking voice. "They are not just one ship from one Deathworld. They have spread to at least 30 systems that we have classified as uninhabitable." Admiral Quintel sat down heavily in his command chair. The situation was getting worse by the hour. These Deathworlders were not just survivors who had managed to escape their hostile planet. They were an expanding civilization that was actively colonizing the galaxy's most dangerous worlds. "How is this possible?" he asked. "How can any species not only survive on one Deathworld, but actively seek out more of them?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Amy Foster had been studying the alien medical data and was beginning to understand the fundamental difference between humans and the Confederation species. "Captain, I think I know why these aliens are so scared of us," she announced. "It's not just that we're physically stronger or more durable, but they think differently." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Look at their ship designs. Everything is built for comfort and safety. Their hulls are designed to protect against minor impacts. Their life support systems are made for perfect environmental control. These beings evolved to avoid danger and seek comfort." She paused to organize her thoughts. "But humans evolved to face danger and overcome it. We don't avoid hostile environments, we adapt to them. We don't run from challenges, we solve them. To them, we must seem like a species that actively seeks out the elite things they fear most." Steve Johnson nodded grimly. "Doctor, I think you're right. Look at their fleet formation. They're not preparing to fight us. They're preparing to evacuate this entire sector of space." On the Confederation flagship, this assessment was proving accurate. Admiral Quintel was receiving orders from the High Council to avoid contact with the Deathworlders at all costs and to establish a buffer zone around human space. But before he could begin the evacuation, Dr. Karen Wright made a discovery that changed everything. She had been analyzing the cultural exchange data when she noticed something the aliens had mentioned casually in their transmissions. "Captain, the aliens just told us something important. They said they share their worlds with small, harmless creatures they keep as companions." "You mean pets?" "Yes, but Captain. They described these creatures. It's maximum size about 30 centimeters long. No natural weapons. Completely dependent on their caretakers for survival. They evolved alongside species that never had to compete for resources or defend themselves from predators." Jake began to understand where this was leading. They want to know about Earth's wildlife. Karen nodded nervously. "Captain, there. Asking about the other species that live on our world. They want to know about our companion creatures and the wildlife we share Earth with." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. Everyone was thinking the same thing. How do you explain to peaceful aliens that Earth is home to sharks, bears, wolves, venomous snakes, and thousands of other predators? How do you tell them that humans are actually one of the weaker species on their own planet? Karen, what exactly did you tell them about Earth's animals? "Nothing yet, Captain. I was waiting for your orders." "Sir, they're expecting an answer. I don't think they're going to like what we have to tell them." Jake sat back in his command chair and considered their options. The aliens were already terrified of humans because they came from a world with high gravity and dangerous weather. If they learned that Earth was also populated with creatures that made humans look fragile by comparison, there was no telling how they might react, but honesty had gotten them this far. If they wanted to build trust with these aliens, they had to continue being truthful. "Send them the data, Karen. All of it. Let them know about Earth's biodiversity. But be gentle about it." Chief Engineer Matt Collins was not expecting to become the center of an intergalactic crisis. Matt was a practical man with short blonde hair and strong hands who was good at fixing things. When the aliens asked for a demonstration of human technology, he thought it would be a simple matter of showing them some tools. "Captain, they want to see how our equipment works," Matt reported to Jake. "They're particularly interested in our maintenance gear and safety equipment." Jake nodded. "Go ahead, Matt. Show them whatever they want to see. Maybe if they understand our technology better, they'll be less afraid of us." Matt set up a video link with the alien ships and began demonstrating basic human tools. He started with a standard repair kit, wrenches, cutting tools, welding equipment, and emergency patches for hull breaches. On the Confederation ships, engineers watched in growing amazement and horror. "Look at the power output of their cutting tool," whispered Chief Engineer Colvin to his assistant. "It generates enough energy to slice through our hull plating like paper, and he's using it for routine maintenance." Matt moved on to safety equipment. He showed them a standard pressure suit designed for emergency spacewalks. To him, it was basic protection gear that every human engineer carried. To the aliens, it looked like military armor. "The suit is rated for pressures up to 15 atmospheres," Matt explained cheerfully. "It can handle temperatures from -200 to +300 degrees. The radiation shielding will protect against solar flares and cosmic rays." On the alien ships, silence fell over the engineering departments. 15 atmospheres of pressure would crush most Confederation species instantly. The temperature ranges Matt mentioned casually were beyond anything their ships could survive, and the radiation levels he described as normal working conditions would kill most alien crews in hours. Dr. Alina Rodriguez was meanwhile conducting cultural exchanges from the Aurora's psychology department. Alina was a thoughtful woman with dark hair and warm brown eyes who specialized in understanding how different minds worked. She had been looking forward to learning about alien psychology, but the conversation was not going as expected. "Keep asking about our stress response systems," Alina told Captain Jake. "They want to know how we handle dangerous situations. I think they're having trouble understanding that humans developed psychological mechanisms for dealing with constant threats." "What kind of mechanisms?" Jake asked. "Fight or flight responses, adrenaline production, pain tolerance, fear management. Basic survival psychology that every human learns growing up. Captain, these aliens never developed any of that. Evolved on worlds where danger was so rare that they never needed psychological defenses." Alina paused, looking troubled. "Captain, I think we need to be very careful. These beings have no mental framework for understanding violence or aggression. When they look at human psychology, they see a species that's designed for warfare." Meanwhile, Security Officer Chris Turner was about to make the situation much worse. Chris was a big man with dark skin and an easy smile who stayed in shape by working out every day. When the aliens asked for a demonstration of human physical capabilities, he thought they wanted to understand human biology. "Sure, I can show. Use some basic exercises," Chris said into the video link. "This is what we do to stay healthy during long space missions." He started with simple push-ups. To Chris, it was routine physical maintenance. To the aliens watching, it was a demonstration of impossible strength. On the Confederation flagship, Medical Officer Bryn Cole was recording everything with shaking hands. He is lifting his entire body weight using only his arms, repeatedly, and he is not showing any signs of strain. Chris moved on to pull-ups, using a maintenance bar in the Aurora's engineering section. He completed 20 repetitions easily, then started doing sit-ups to work his abdominal muscles. "This is just basic fitness," Chris explained. "Every human does exercises like this. We have to stay strong to handle Earth's gravity when we go." Home, the alien medical teams were frantically calculating the forces involved. Chris was demonstrating muscle strength and bone density that were off their measurement scales. What he called basic fitness would be considered superhuman performance by Confederation standards. Admiral Quintel was receiving reports from every department on his ship, and each one made the situation sound more hopeless. Engineering reports that human tools could be used as weapons capable of destroying our ships, announced his aide. Medical reports that human physical capabilities exceed anything in our databases. Psychology reports that humans show mental adaptations for constant warfare. The Admiral rubbed his head with two of his four hands. "We still haven't heard about their planet's wildlife." As if summoned by his words, Dr. Karen Wright's report about Earth's animals arrived at that moment. Karen had tried to be gentle in her description, starting with harmless creatures like rabbits and deer. But even those seemed dangerous to aliens from peaceful garden worlds. Their herbivorous species grow to masses exceeding 200 kilograms, Karen had explained. They have developed defensive capabilities, including sharp horns, powerful kicking limbs, and herd coordination for mutual protection. To humans, deer and elk were pretty but harmless animals. To aliens, whose largest native creatures were the size of house cats, sounded like armored war beasts. Then Karen had mentioned the predators. Earth's apex predators include creatures weighing up to 400 kilograms with powerful jaws, sharp claws, and hunting strategies refined over millions of years. Humans coexist with these species and have learned to avoid areas where they hunt. Captain Janet Moore chose that exact moment to arrive in the Aurora's system with 3 more human ships. Janet was a veteran space captain with gray hair and stern eyes who commanded the exploration vessel Horizon. She had been sent to provide backup for Jake's mission, but her arrival triggered panic throughout the alien fleet. Multiple Deathworlder vessels detected, reported Velma from her sensor station. They are approaching in formation. Admiral Quintel watched his tactical display as what appeared to be a human battle fleet took positions around the Aurora. How many ships are we facing now? For confirmed Deathworlder vessels, sir? And Admiral, we are detecting more ships at the edge of sensor range. This may be an advance force for a larger fleet. The truth was much simpler. Janet had brought routine supply ships and a science vessel to support the first contact mission. But to aliens who saw humans as living weapons from a nightmare world, any gathering of human ships looked like preparation for conquest. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had been continuing her psychological exchanges with the aliens as she was beginning to understand how different their thinking really was. "Captain, I think I know why they're so frightened," she told Jake. "These aliens have never experienced natural selection pressure. They evolved on worlds so peaceful that cooperation and gentleness were the only traits that mattered. Literally. Cannot understand a species that developed through millions of years of surviving predators, natural disasters, and resource competition." Jake was starting to see the bigger picture. So when they look at us, they see a species that evolved to be killers. Our strength, our technology, our psychology, everything about us screams danger to minds that never had to deal with threats. Situation reached a crisis point when Dr. Karen Wright made one final innocent comment about Earth's biodiversity. Of course, humans are actually considered one of the more fragile species on our world. She transmitted to the alien fleet. "We survive through intelligence and tool use, rather than natural weapons. Many of Earth's predators could easily hunt and kill humans if we met them without technology." The silence that followed this statement lasted for several minutes. Then every alien ship in the fleet began broadcasting emergency signals simultaneously. Nexus Prime, Admiral Quintel stared at the message in disbelief. The Deathworlders had just casually mentioned that they were not even the most dangerous species on their planet. There were creatures on the human homeworld that could kill these living weapons easily. "Evacuation order to all Confederation ships," the Admiral commanded. "We are withdrawing to minimum safe distance immediately." Jake watched in confusion as the alien fleet began moving away from them rapidly. "What did we say wrong this time?" Dr. Karen Wright checked her transmission logs. "I just told them that humans aren't the strongest species on Earth. I thought that might make them feel better." "Did it work?" Karen watched the alien ships accelerating away from them at maximum speed. "I don't think so, Captain." Admiral Kate Wilson arrived in the system aboard the massive exploration ship Terra Nova just as the alien fleet was preparing to flee. Kate was a tall woman with silver hair and calm blue eyes who had spent 30 years exploring the galaxy. For humanity, she had been sent by Earth's government when they learned about the first contact situation. "Captain Martinez, this is Admiral Wilson." Her voice came over the communication channel. "I'm here with a full diplomatic team. What's the status of our alien friends?" Jake looked at his tactical display, which showed the Confederation ships moving away at high speed. "Admiral, I think we scared them. Every time we try to be friendly, they seem to get more frightened." Kate had brought more than just diplomats. Ambassador Carl Thompson was aboard the Terra Nova, along with Defense Coordinator Maria Santos, and a team of scientists led by Dr. Linda Seltz. Carl was an older man with kind eyes, who had spent his career helping different groups understand each other. Maria was a former military officer who now worked to prevent conflicts before they started. "Admiral Wilson, We need to stop this evacuation before it becomes permanent, Carl advised. If these aliens spread word throughout their civilization that humans are dangerous, we may never get another chance at peaceful contact. Kate nodded. Jake, open a channel to the alien fleet, all frequencies. When the channel was open, Kate spoke in the calm, steady voice that had made her one of humanity's best diplomats. Confederation ships, this is Admiral Kate Wilson of the Human Exploration Fleet. We understand that our previous communications may have caused fear or confusion. We would like to request a peaceful meeting to resolve any misunderstandings. Response came from Admiral Quintel, though his voice shook slightly. Human Admiral, we appreciate your peaceful intentions, but our analysis indicates that your species represents a level of danger that our civilization is not equipped to handle. We must withdraw to protect our people. Dr. Linda Hayes had been studying the situation during the journey to the contact zone. Linda was a scientist with brown hair and patient eyes who specialized in making complex ideas simple to understand. She had an idea that might help. Admiral requests permission to try something, Linda said. I think the problem isn't that we're dangerous. The problem is that we're speaking different languages, even when we use the same words. Kate gave her permission, and Linda opened her own channel to the alien fleet. Admiral Quintel, my name is Dr. Linda Hayes. I'm a human scientist, and I'd like to try an experiment with you. Instead of talking about how different we are, let's talk about what we have in common. There was a long pause before the alien admiral responded. What could we possibly have in common, Dr. Hayes? We're both intelligent species who developed space travel. We're both curious about the universe around us. We're both capable of art, music, and literature. We both care about the safety and happiness of our people, and his voice remained gentle and patient. Admiral, the things that make humans seem dangerous to you are the same things that make us good explorers and protectors. We're not a species that seeks conquest. We're a species that seeks understanding. Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Rodriguez was working with the psychology team to develop a new approach to communication. Elena had realized that the key to success was helping both species understand each other's perspectives. Admiral Wilson, I'd like to propose something, Elena said. What if we arranged a joint scientific expedition? Something that would let both sides work together on a project that benefits everyone. The opportunity came sooner than expected. The Aurora's sensors detected a massive solar flare building in the system's star. It was the kind of event that happened regularly in most star systems, but Jake quickly realized that the aliens might not know how to handle it. Admiral Quintel, we're detecting dangerous radiation levels from your system's star, Jake transmitted. A solar flare is building that could damage unshielded ships. Our vessels are equipped to handle this, but yours might be at risk. On the Confederation flagship, panic spread through the crew. Solar flares were one of the most feared phenomena in their part of the galaxy. Most alien ships had only basic radiation shielding because they traveled between carefully mapped safe routes. Evacuation protocols activated. Admiral Quintel ordered, all ships prepare for emergency jump to hyperspace. But there was a problem. Several of the smaller Confederation vessels had been damaged during their rapid acceleration away from the human fleet. Their hyperspace drives were not functioning properly, and they would not be able to escape before the radiation wave hit. Captain, Wilson made a decision that would change everything. Confederation ships. This is Admiral Wilson. We can provide protection for your damaged vessels. Our ships are shielded against solar radiation. Will you allow us to help? The silence that followed lasted for nearly a minute. Then Admiral Quintel's voice came back, filled with confusion and hope. Would risk your own safety to protect us, even though we have shown fear and suspicion toward your people. Admiral, that's what friends do for each other, Kate replied simply. The rescue operation that followed was like nothing either species had ever experienced. Human ships moved into formation around the damaged alien vessels, using their heavy radiation shielding to create protective zones. Commander Rick Foster, captain of the supply ship Denver, positioned his vessel directly between the aliens and the incoming radiation storm. Don't worry, folks, Rick transmitted to the alien ship he was protecting. We've dealt with solar flares like this hundreds of times. You're safe behind our shields. Rick was a cheerful man with red hair and freckles. who had grown up on a mining station near a very active star. To him, solar flares were just another part of life in space. To the aliens, his casual confidence in the face of deadly radiation was both terrifying and amazing. As the radiation wave passed through the system, something remarkable happened. The alien crews watched human ships operate normally in conditions that would have killed them instantly. But instead of seeing this as proof of human danger, they began to see it as proof of human capability. "They're not trying to hurt us," Medical Officer Brinkhole observed to his colleagues. "They're trying to help us. These Deathworlders are using their dangerous abilities to keep us safe." When the solar storm passed, both fleets remained in formation. The crisis had created an opportunity for real communication. Dr. Linda Hayes proposed a cultural exchange program that would allow both species to learn about each other safely. Scientists from both sides would work together on projects that played to each species' strengths. "Humans can explore dangerous environments that are too hostile for your people," Linda explained. "In return, you can share technologies and knowledge. From your peaceful civilizations, we can learn from each other." Ambassador Carl Thompson worked with Admiral Quintel to establish the first formal agreements between humanity and the Confederation. The discussions were careful and slow, but both sides were committed to making them work. "We proposed the creation of joint exploration zones," Carl suggested. "Humans can investigate the death worlds that your people cannot safely visit. We can establish research stations and resource extraction facilities in places that have been off limits to your civilization." Admiral Quintel considered this proposal carefully. "And in return, humanity would gain access to our trade networks, our scientific databases, and our peaceful technologies." "Exactly. We each contribute what we do best." The agreement that emerged from these negotiations became known as the Death World Accord. Humanity would become the Confederation's specialists in hostile environment exploration and protection. In return, humans would gain access to thousands of years of knowledge from dozens of peaceful civilizations. Jake Martinez was chosen as the first human liaison officer, responsible for coordinating joint missions and maintaining communication between the species. Dr. Lisa Parker began cataloging all the unexplored death worlds in Confederation space, planning expeditions that would expand knowledge for both civilizations. 6 months later, Jake stood on the observation deck of a joint research station orbiting a planet that the Confederation had thought was uninhabitable. Below them, human colonists were building the first settlements on what would become New Terra. While alien scientists studied the process from the safety of orbital facilities, children from both species played together in specially designed areas where humans and aliens could interact safely. Human children wore light protective gear to reduce their strength and make them safe playmates for alien young. Alien children wore environment suits that let them experience a small taste of what it was like to be a Deathworlder. Admiral Wilson, incoming message from the Confederation High Council. Communications Officer Rachel Davis announced. Kate read the message and smiled. "Jake, they're asking if we'd be interested in exploring the Galactic core region. Apparently, there are some very dangerous systems out there that have been off limits for centuries." Jake grinned. "Tell them we'd be happy to take a look. After all, that's what friends are for." As he spoke, the solar flare alarm sounded again. Both human and alien crews moved smoothly into their practiced protective formation.